Has God called you to do something and you don't feel qualified? You know, you're in good company. There are many people in the Bible, I'm going to talk about 3 of them today, who did not feel qualified to do what God called them to do. Let's start in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, and talk about Moses. Now, you know, Moses, he was just on the backside of the wilderness. He's keeping sheep. He feels like he's a failure. He can't do anything. And God shows up and tells him what he's supposed to do. And Moses says, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Who am I?" And God said to Moses, "Certainly I will be with you, and this shall be a token unto you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain." And Moses decides he's going to argue with God. And what if they don't? Who am I supposed to say sent me? What's his name? What am I going to say to them? And God said to Moses, "I am that I am." And he said, "Thus shalt thou say to the children of Israel, I am has sent you." Well, Moses keeps arguing because, you know, sometimes that's what we do. We feel like God's called us to do something, but we're not sure we want to do it. So Moses says, "Behold, they will not believe me nor hearken to my voice, for they will say, the Lord has not appeared to you." God says, "Well, what you got in your hand?" "A rod." "Okay, throw the rod down." Turns into a snake. Pick it up by the tail. Turns back into a rod. That wasn't enough for Moses. So God says, "Put your hand in your bosom. Pull your hand out, it's leprous. Put your hand back in your bosom. Pull it back out, it's totally well, totally healed." Moses isn't done. We're in chapter 4 now in verse 10. Moses says unto the Lord, "O my Lord, I'm not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." I can't talk good, God. So God says, "I will be with your mouth and teach you what you're supposed to say." And Moses is arguing still. "O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by thy hand of him whom thou hast sent." Don't send me, God. Please don't send me. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. God's getting kind of tired of Moses arguing with him. Basically, he's saying, "I told you to do this. I'm going to equip you to do this. What I have called you to do, I will give you the ability to do. It doesn't matter that you think that you can't talk good." I mean, look at me. I've got this southern accent. A lot of people probably don't understand me either. But doesn't mean God can't use me. Okay, let's go on to somebody else. You know about Gideon, right? Gideon is an Israelite. And the Midians, that was a group of people, the Midians. The Midians have been harassing the Israelites. And the Israelites are, Gideon's hiding down in a wine press to thresh his wheat because he doesn't want the Midians to see him. And an angel of the Lord, this is Judges chapter 6, an angel of the Lord appeared to him and said unto him, "The Lord is with you, thou mighty man of valor." Wait a minute, Gideon's hiding in a wine press. Mighty man of valor? And the Lord looked at him and said, "Go in this your might, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent you?" Well, Gideon's kind of like Moses. He does a little bit of arguing, a little bit of bargaining. And Gideon's like, "Well, who am I? My family's the poorest of the poor here. I'm the least in my father's house." But the Lord said to him, "Surely I will be with you, and you will smite the Midianites as one man." Surely I will be with you. What God said to Midian, he's saying to you right now, I will be with you. When God calls you to do something, he called you to do it. And he's going to be with you, and he's going to help you do it. Now, those examples were people who, okay, it's Old Testament, right? Well, what about the New Testament? Well, I'm not going to read the whole chapter on this, but let's look at the book of Acts, and let's look at Saul, who became Paul. You talk about a man who was qualified but not qualified. He was a Pharisee of the Pharisees. He was a big deal in Judaism. He knew the word backwards and forwards. But he didn't believe in Jesus. He persecuted the Christians. He killed them. Talk about a man that's not qualified. But God used Saul, who became Paul. You remember how Saul was converted? He's on the road to Damascus. Is that where? Yeah, I think that's where he's going. Anyway, wherever he was, he's on his donkey, and he's heading out, and he is gonna persecute some more Christians, and he's gonna kill them. He's on the way, and this bright light appears to him, and he falls off his donkey, and God speaks to him. And Saul says, Lord, who are you? And Jesus tells him who he is, and he sends him off, and 3 days later, somebody comes to him, prays for him, and the scales are removed from his eyes, and he can see again, and he is called to preach. And his name was changed to Paul. Now, in the natural, before God showed up, you wouldn't think this man was ever going to be used by God to preach the gospel. But that's exactly what happened. And I want to encourage you today, no matter where you are in your life, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you have done in the past, if God has called you to do something, then he will equip you and help you to do it. How do I know? Well, until December of last year, I had never made a video to post online. Never thought about posting a video online. And one day, God said to me, I want you to record this and post it online. Who, me, God? Who's going to listen to me? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who listens to me. God's called me to do this. He's equipped me to do this. He gives me a message just about every day to share online. And I think that's pretty exciting because it's really opened the Word of God to me. It has helped me to pay attention to what God is saying every day. And I want to encourage you, if God's called you to do something, no matter what it is, he might have called you to be a mechanic. Well, go be the mechanic God's called you to be. Might have called you to be a soldier or a policeman. Might have called you to be a fireman. Might have called you to be a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah, God uses them too. No matter what God has called you to do, maybe you're a carpenter or a gardener. I'll tell you what, I really appreciate my landscape guy because I can't mow my own yard. And he's a Christian, which is pretty cool. The point is, whatever God's called you to do, believe that he will equip you to do it and that you can do it in his power, not in your strength, but in his. And go ahead and do it.